And that was my conversation with the campaign manager of the New Patriotic Party as we have 4 more days to December 7. Here's another conversation this time. The focus is on peace. Reverend Professor Emmanuel Asante-Antwi, former Peace Council chairman, speaks to my colleague, Benjamin Akakbo.
Well, welcome aboard. Thank you for joining us on Joy News. It's another glorious opportunity to discourse with a fine gentleman, one of those luminaries in our country. I call him Daddy. Now, he is a past presiding bishop of the Methodist Church Ghana and former chairman of the National Peace Council. He is none other than Most Reverend Professor Emmanuel Asante. He is our guest today. Prof, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you.
And for, indulging young ones like us who bother you all the time.
Oh.
You agreed to speak to us.
It's my pleasure.
Great.
Yeah.
Let's talk leadership and governance in Ghana. What do you see when you look at our current leadership, the governance structures, our institutions? What are the high points? What are the low points? What is the good, the bad, and the ugly?
That's a tough question, Definitely, we have all the institutions in place to ensure good governance within the context of democratic form of government. As you know, we have the parliament, we have our parliament, let me begin by saying we have our constitution that governs us. We have institutions in place like the various institutions. You think of, Ghana has some of the best institutions you can ever think of. Electoral Commission, the SHRAJ, NCCE, Peace Council, mention it. The CSOs, civil society.
Will you mention the Office of the Special Prosecutor as well?
Yeah. The Office of that's also is a very important institution. The CSOs, we have the media, freedom of the press, and all that. Media Commission to ensure that there's freedom and so on and so forth. Recently, the law that is being passed, information. Freedom of information,
right to information,
right to information, and all that. These are very important things in terms when it comes to good governance that we have been able to put in place. My only concern is that we have the penchant to put in place institutions without empowering the institutions, even though you may say that we have empowered them. But I'm talking about resources for these institutions to be able to deliver the goods. I can use the Peace Council as an example. Until recently, the Peace Council, that big name that people heard of, you went to the office and there was nothing to write home about. It was until recently that we have been given a place. And, people come to the Peace Council, and it's a place where former heads of states and other people, ambassadors and diplomats come into the country. They've heard of our Peace Council. They want to come and visit. And we were pitching in the flat. And sometimes I was saying that I wish nobody would come here and say they want to go to the washroom.
Wow. Was it that bad?
Well, I don't know whether you went there, where we were. And I remember when General Obasanjo came and met us. Oh, this is your place, And now they have been given a bungalow in there. It's better. But it could be better.
Some progress is being made.
Progress is being made. We do have, at some point, regional peace councils had been established in all the regions, and none of them had a car.
Wow.
No, we didn't. But here, the only car that we had, that a lot of people were saying this and that, was a V8 that the executive secretary was using. Until recently, we didn't even have the means of transport to be able to do the work that we needed to do. None of the regional offices had it until the diplomatic corps together with UNDP came together and decided that Denmark fact, the Danish embassy was spearheaded this and managed to get us cars. So every region now has a pickup, that they are working with. But it's even one pickup.
So, but for the intervention of Denmark,
then
it would have been situation normal.
And the activities of the Peace Council was facilitated by the UNDP. It was the UNDP and other institutions, UNESCO, for example, when we had the 2016 election, we mounted, what we call NEWAC, REWAC, just to find out, monitor what was happening, and so that we could take immediate action to avert problems. It was the UNESCO that provided the funding for that. So when people are talking, these are some of the things. Institutions are there, and I know the kinds of things that I'm talking about. The NCCE have the same problems. If you go to them, and sometimes we meet, and when they are telling us the problems that they have, we say, well,
then you begin to maybe see.
We're not alone. In some places you go and you think, hey, then you are better off. Right now, I chair the APRM, the Ghana Council of the African Peer Review Mechanism.
Right.
What do we have? The car that they are using is over 10 years.
Is government supposed to resource?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Because I pose that question because I've interacted with Professor Stephen Adey, NDPC,
yes,
and he has lamented, some of these same issues. There was a point where he was talking about even wanting to appoint certain people to help with what, and you can't do it because you don't have the bargaining power to attract the sort of talent that will come in and do the work.
The Peace Council, for instance, you have to set up funding, something for that. We have not been able to do that yet. But you see, the danger is that you are working, you're seeking the peace of this country, and if you have to depend upon foreigners to provide the wherewithal, then you begin to ask yourself, where's the commitment? Of course, the staff members, the executive secretary and the staff are paid by government. But it's not just the staff, what they need to work with. We have people who should do research. We have program officers. They need to be catered for. They need vehicles to be able to do all these things.
Is our continuous government shirking that responsibility, and how do we get them to act?
Oh, well, I must say that, we've continued to draw attention to what is happening. Things are showing up, but it could be better.
Just on that same tangent, I will not delve too much into this issue, but in recent times, our special prosecutor resigned. Did you know him? Was he someone you would call a friend?
No, I don't know him. I don't think that I can say much about him. I didn't even follow his activities.
And I brought him up because he had complained about some of the very things you are complaining of.
No, it's a general malaise in the country. Every governmental institution will tell you that this is what is happening. I do agree. Sometimes, but I think the mere fact that we have these institutions doesn't mean that we are. I think you set up institutions, we should cut our coat according to our sizes.
Okay.
Make sure that these institutions have what it takes to deliver. On paper,
we look good.
We look good, and it's good in the international community to see this. But is it really? Are they resourced to be able? Are they resourced to be able to deliver the goods?
Let's talk election 2020. It's already started because yesterday we had our special voting, but December 7 is the main day. What have you seen so far, as past Peace Council chair?
Yeah.
And what are your impressions of yesterday's exercise, the special voting exercise?
It was peaceful yesterday, but let me go back and talk about, I have had the opportunity to monitor elections even before I became the chairman of the National Peace Council through Christian Council. I have also served as one time as a chairman of the enforcement body, 2012. You remember that. This particular year, I can say that in spite of people talking about tension, the campaigns have been good. It's been contest of ideas. They have spoken on their manifestos. That doesn't mean that everything has been perfect. I mean, I can say that. But compared to the years past, where political campaigning was more of invectives and insults and all those kinds of things, you don't see that much. If somebody is campaigning and the person has his manifesto and the person says, I don't think you can do this, I will be able to do this, I have done this, I've done that. It's contest of ideas. That's permitted in any civilized country, in any civilized democracy. So I think this particular election year, the campaigns have not been that bad.
The acrimony has lessened.
has lessened, it's subsided. And I'm grateful. Does it mean that our political culture is maturing? I'll leave that to posterity. Okay, I want to believe that we are maturing somehow. In terms of the Electoral Commission, despite all the the kinds of things that NDC and some others have had against them, have done very, very, very well in terms of their preparations. And the fact that they have always come out, let the citizens know, for me is the best. I want to believe that they will continue. Like what we saw yesterday, I hope that during the general election itself, we may not encounter any difficulties. For me, I think with the help of God, this year's election will turn out to be one of the best that we have had.
And that's what we all pray for. If you had to score the EC, what mark would you give them?
65.
65%?
Yes, that is A minus.
A minus. And coming from a lecturer, you're a lecturer, so you know exactly what you're apportioning to them.
Yes.
Now, in 2012, you were chairman of the National Enforcement Body of the Political Parties Code of Conduct. What would be your message to the political parties, especially the two major political parties, NPP and NDC, ahead of December 7th?
My message to them is this. You see, power resides in the people. Sovereignty is in the hands of the people. And you have come to us for us to give you the mandate to rule us. Our political culture is not that matured, so a lot of people are not voting on the basis of informed choices. I don't think that people have really truly sat down to do proper interrogation of the various manifestos. Attempts have been made. Media people, you have tried to bring some of them to explain some of these things. But we are far, far away from people doing proper analysis of the manifestos. But whatever it is, it's a promise that you have given to the people. People would definitely vote, and they will give you that opportunity.